By the grace of God, this year we are going to be 10 in our home. Yeah, I know the journey so far is not something we can summarize within this very short time or these few minutes that we have to discourse. God has indeed been very faithful. I think we can attest to that. We have quite a lot of ups and downs, as a family and even as individuals in our career pursuit, our business pursuit, and everything. So, in a very null shell, if you had to say something briefly about the journey so far, what would you say? Well, this is Ben and this is Blessing, and this is us. By the grace of God, we are turning 10 today. This year, by April, hopefully, in our own marriage. So we just want to just reflect, just briefly, and share with you just some few things. We hope to have a more robust video that will cover maybe much more than what we have to say today, but we just want to give some little tips of what has helped us thus far and has kept us together thus far. Okay, we have God has blessed us with 4 children. As we are like this, I don't know if we look it or not, but you can put your opinion maybe at the comment section about what you feel or think about us. Okay. Well, let me listen to Madam Blessing. What do you have to say? I hope I'm right to call you Madam Blessing. Okay.
However you put it's fine. Okay, reflecting right now, 10 years. I'll just say it's 10 years of God's faithfulness, 10 years of several challenges, 10 years of learning, 10 years of adjusting and readjusting. Like a writer would say, it's been 10 years of unlearning, learning, and relearning. It's been a process of growth as development also comes in. So I think that's basically my summary of the past 10 years. So we were friends for quite a while. Our courtship also took some time before eventual marriage. So all put together, I'd say will be 18 years, about 18 years or so of knowing each other and being friends and eventually being companions in marriage.
So, do you have any iota of regret at any point in time getting stuck with me? I know sometimes I can be quite a handful. And yeah, you said 18 years. I know 18 years, if we had a baby or a child for this long, the child will have been a full grown adult today. Okay, because I think in Nigeria, by the law, once a child turns 18, he is declared he is declared an adult, free to do or take decisions and also to answer for himself or herself from that point going forward. So do you have any iota of any regrets you feel like, hi, if I had better choices, maybe I would have gone for them? Has there been any time that you sat down and you felt this wouldn't have been me, or this wouldn't have been where I really would have loved to end up with, or who I really would have loved to end up with? Just feel free and tell me. Okay.
Okay, yeah, the word regret. Anyways, I really do not have such words in my dictionary, my personal dictionary, and that's because life itself, I see it as my own story. How it unfolds from the introduction, several things are supposed to take place in between: the good, the bad, the ugly. We learn lessons, we move, and then how it ends. I think that's basically it for me. So issues of regrets, it has never crossed my mind. Even before I got married, there are things I do not have options for. Regrets, no. I just see, yes, life has its own challenges, but a place of comparison or a point where you come and you're like, oh, maybe I made a mistake. Oh, maybe never. I've never had. I've never had that, sincerely. I've never had such thoughts ever cross my mind. No, not in courtship, but they already.
Oh yeah,
So
it's quite
I've never had
amazing.
that. Yeah.
Actually, I think most times I rather think of how my life would have been if I hadn't a kind of connected with you. Okay, if you were not my spouse, I just think around the clock to imagine how life would have been with me and what kind of home I would have had today with whosoever it is. I don't know. Okay, I give that a thought most times, but I'm grateful to God that it is us. Okay, like you said, rightly said, that friendship that God had blessed us with before even coming into marriage was quite a huge gift to us. Okay, even though we know that we are not as perfect as we should. And well, as let me ask this question. Yeah, talking about friendship, did we have any expectations of us, any promises that we've made about the future or about coming together? And how does that, how did that really, or I don't know, let me make it in a continuous tense term. How does that affect the stability of our home? Okay, talking about promises you've made before getting married or before coming together in marriage. And were there anything like that? And if yes, how did they affect, or how are they affecting the marriage union presently? And if not, and how is that also affecting the marriage union? Are they of any advantage or not? Can you just speak to that? And what would you advise to, especially those who are coming into marriage, in
Yeah.
regard to such promises and expectations?
All right. When it comes, I think the two things I'm picking up there is, first, there's the issue of commitment, and then the issue of expectations. So for me, promises were not it at all, because I know I'm human, and I think for us, basically, we didn't have issues of promises, no, but we had issues of commitment. Commitment first to God, and then commitment to each other, commitment to our friendship, knowing that our union meant more to us than whatever challenge would come. So I think commitment, yes, there were several commitments. I know once in a while I still go through my diary. There are things I wrote as commitments by God's grace to do this and do that and be this in the course of marriage. So it has helped me reflect, made adjustments for areas I need to improve, for areas I'm falling short, and all of that. So I think that's for commitment. But for expectations, generally, personally, I love to live with little or no expectations. And my reason would be that I'm a very emotional person. And I didn't want to come to a point where I'll feel broken or so vulnerable that I'll begin to have negative thoughts or otherwise. So I live with little or no expectations. So basically, all of my expectations I channel first to God. And then I look at my husband from the picture that, yes, he's God's son. He's made his commitments, as we trust God for him to meet up to his own part, his own 100%, my own 100% part of our commitments. And then the in betweens, definitely, for me, I don't really call them expectations. I just call them commitments. we know the right thing to do, we strive to do them, the accomplishments we talk about, our dreams, our aspirations, our pursuits, and all of that. Yes, all of that all of those are, of course, in betweens and things we work on. But when it comes to expectations, I think I have come to realize that for several young people, um, that's one challenge that I just feel. Sometimes spoken expectations, sometimes unspoken. I remember before I got married, I had an aunt, and her expectation was when she met her husband, he already told her of his dreams to relocate outside the country and all of that. So when she had the opportunity to make a choice at that point, that's before marriage, she had an opportunity to go study abroad, but she wanted both of them. So because she knew that studying abroad might cost her her relationship, and since her then to be husband, as at that time, had those as his dreams and aspirations, and they looked really, really vivid as things she wanted. So she opted for the marriage. Okay, hoping that at the end of the day she'll have both. Okay, and she forfeited further studies abroad. Okay, so what I'm trying to bring out of that was after marriage and things weren't going as she had expected, as quickly as she had expected, not even as she had expected at all. You know, it became a huge, huge, huge challenge. It became a huge challenge. It's just that what really helped her was first, she was a child of God, and the place of commitment, she was a person of commitment. So she decided to be committed, but their relationship was really shaky for the first few years of their marriage because she always made reference to that. But you said this, but you said that. Okay, and at some point, it actually started bringing a drift between both of them because he was beating himself up trying to see that he met up, and she was like, no, but this was not what you told me, but this was not how you said it, and all of that. Eventually, with years and time, she has had to accept the present reality. But I think I've seen that play out in several other relationships where some both spoken and unspoken expectations were placed, especially from the side of the woman, where the woman, I know it's both ways, but especially from the side of the woman, where the woman feels that her coming into marriage, okay, there's particular things that should be at advantage of, okay, there are particular dreams, that secret dreams or desires she has that she feels, when she comes, she will meet it in this person. She will finally come to terms with it, okay? And those are the things that eventually bring, in the course of the first few years of settling down in marriage, getting to understand each other and supporting each other, and you just discover that those things become the major things that bring conflict, whether spoken or unspoken. You just realize that no, there were expectations, and this person just feels you're falling down or you're falling short of the expectations. And with that hurt, there's anger, and then things that generally should be overlooked or should just be one of those things become serious issues because there are underlying expectations. So generally, I would say I would encourage young people to commit. Make your commitment first to God. There are expectations of God of you. Just hold on to that first. Number two, knowing that this person is human. Yes, we all have plans, dreams, aspirations. We sometimes we have set goals with timelines and all of that. But life plays out and things may not really go the way we actually intend sometimes. So you give room for that, make allowance for it. Okay. Okay. If it happens, good. If it doesn't happen, it should not be a defining factor or one of the quiet strongholds for which we are committing, okay, into that relationship. So I think that's one of my this thing. And then as much as possible of human beings, personally, I live with very little or no expectations because they are not omniscient, they're not omnipresent. We all have our frails. Like I tell people, I am still in the process of making. So having a lot of expectations, sometimes it makes the other person either beat himself up trying to meet up, or it makes you on the other end feel disappointed and all of that if it doesn't work out. Okay. So my expectations are basically from God. Like I tell people that when scripture says no man receives anything good except from the Lord. So I believe that even when I'm receiving something from my husband, it's because God permits it. So for me, it's the God factor. Everything good that he packages. And so if I see him as my provider, trusting him to do that through my husband. So my expectations basically are first of God, and then the next one is what are God's expectations of me. Every other thing will fall in place. He's God's son. My husband is God's son. So I know that God also has a way of his own dealings in his life. So there are things that are God's expectations of him as he also looks up to God. So somehow I just see it as as I tilt towards God, he tilts towards God. It definitely just naturally brings us closer because we have a focal point, which is God. So definitely it just draws us closer and closer to each other. I think that's what I have to say about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You had quite a lot to say, about that. From what you've just said now, it means on the affirmative, you will not advise that such expectations be put let me say, a human being per se, especially for those who are going into marriage. It is good to make your plans. It is good to um, have a kind of forecast of how you intend your home to be, your marriage to be. But then, like she said, it must all be tied up to God. Okay. The God factor must not be taken out of it. If God wills, all right, this thing will happen, we will do this thing. But don't make it to be something that is so certain that for sure you as a person, you are going to make this happen for the other person. Things happen, event happens, okay, times happen, and then you just realize that what you thought you could do or what you had in your mind as a desire of what to accomplish no longer holds the substance, to become a reality. Okay, so it is very, very important that as you make those plans, as you make those promises, always remember to put the God factor in it, and also point your spouse or your spouse to be to God, that if God wills this thing, we hope to have it come to pass in our lives, in our relationship. Okay, so that if it happens to turn the other way around, you know that okay, maybe God is not in it, or maybe it's not the will of God for us to have or to make this thing happen for us at this time, and that will not bring much hurt to your heart, and also it will not affect your bond, your relationship. So it's very, very key that we understand that. We are saying this especially for prospective couples, okay, those who are walking their way into marriage. It's very important that you watch out on some of those promises that you make. You can once you are in love, you can promise the whole world, okay, for your spouse, but then when the reality is happens, you just realize that all those things were fantasies, and infatuations, probably, emotions that made you to make all those very huge promises that in your lifetime, if God does not help you, you might not be able to fulfill all those promises. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing with that. We hope to have more of this content come your way, especially for this period that we are moving towards celebrating our 10th year anniversary in marriage. It's like we said, when we started initially, we never had. We were actually both students, classmates in the same class. Okay, so she knew me just the way I was. I know those days I used to come out very serious brother. I'm still a serious brother anyways. But what I mean is what I mean to say is those days I come out with my long tie, stuck in with my briefcase. You can imagine a student.
Brotherly.
You can imagine a brother,
Brotherly.
a student coming out that way. Okay, to show how serious we were as brothers. And where times changes, okay, and events is happening to us, but then our hold, our anchor is still the same. In fact, it's firmer than it was in those days. Okay, so Jesus is Lord and is still King of our lives, and He has blessed us so much in this home, in this family. We want to seriously appreciate His blessings for us, okay, and His presence. So I don't know if you have any closing remarks before we I'll call this a day for today.
Not really. Well, I think I will just encourage that the place of our personal walk with God, the place of our personal commitments, when we learn to take one of the ministers I listen to will always say learning to take responsibility. When you learn first to take responsibility, that you'll be held accountable, that I am responsible for this, you know and not looking the other way around and say this person is supposed to do this, is supposed to know this. So when we come to a place of responsibility, whether in our commitments with God, our commitments with our spouses, and all of that, I think it helps us a long way. It builds in us the ability to view the world from a different perspective, compassion, and giving of allowance, you understand, not tolerating outright irresponsibility, no, but it helps us give allowance. It helps us look with compassion. It helps us put ourselves in the place of empathy where we're in the other person's shoe. Okay. And then, like I said, our commitment is first God. It's me and God. It's me and God. Because when it's all said and done, we'll all stand for ourselves. So that's basically what I have to say.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Madam Blessing.
Amen.
Okay, yeah, something just pricked my heart now that I also have to say. Peradventure you find yourself already in the marriage with a lot of failed promises. Okay. We know it's not a very good situation at the moment, and that might be causing some rift, in your home, and you might begin to have some kind of drift away, drifting away from your spouse because probably those promises were the things that made you attractive to your spouse. Okay, and made you to say yes, I will marry you, to your spouse. And after the marriage, those expectations all appear to be like shadows now. Okay, I don't know if you have anything to say just to address such kind of issues.
Okay. I would say for a lot of people, it may not be the real reason why they married, but they felt those expectations were in line with what they had as dreams and aspirations. So for such people, I think my first advice would be, I think you should go back to the drawing board. Yes, as much as this person shared his desire for these things, and they seem to have been like a picture of what your dreams and aspirations look like, it's important that you go back to the author of all, go back to the drawing board. Yes, this is me, this is what I wanted. Okay, yeah. So if it comes through my husband, good and fine. Okay, so like I said, I just believe that every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord. Okay, so I think I would encourage you that quit putting your hope and trust and quit putting your expectations on Him. Put it to God, and then trust God that through Him it can be accomplished. Yes, some of them may be accomplished through your husband. Some of them you may have to take responsibility yourself to accomplish. Okay, and then some of them God could decide to place some other people, friends, relatives, or colleagues in the course of this journey of life Okay, God places people strategically to help us accomplish some of those things. So I would just encourage that quit looking and quit saying you are supposed to, you are this is the work of the man. No, quit it, quit it, and then go back to the drawing board, to the point where you begin to take responsibility. Take responsibility. Okay, my dream. This is my dream. Yes, it's marriage, but this is my dream. Okay, even in marriage, we all have our destinies. Okay, so it's just that what God does is through marriage, He brings a collaborating that helps us both accomplish it. So He accomplishes His, I accomplish mine in the course of our being together, and it comes with ease. Okay, because Scripture will say two better than one. Okay, our accomplishments will always be better if we're two. Okay, so I think that's the way I will see it, and I'll just encourage you that please go back to the drawing board, go back and just pour out your heart to God, tell Him exactly how it is, and then let Him direct you and tell you, okay, what to do. And then you need to pick the pieces where you need to take responsibility. Please do. And stop looking up to man to help you meet that. God can use him, God can come through him, but it should not be wholly on him.
Okay. Yeah, that is thank you so much. That is a very good one. Like Jesus would say, whatever storm it is that is already raging in your home as a result of failed promises, I want to declare to you, just as Jesus would say, still peace, be still.
Amen.
Okay,
Amen.
peace, be still.
Amen.
Just calm down, all right, and take the whole matter to God in prayer. Okay, that very person that you or your spouse that you are feeling that has failed you, especially with those promises, I tell you the truth, it might not be intentional.
Yeah,
Okay, it is
several it's not
because it can
intentional.
be intentional. All
Yeah.
right, so you should know that right deep down in the heart of that your spouse, she or he has the intention to make it happen, but probably the resources are not there. Okay, or the right environment, you are not there. Okay, so with God, if you channel everything back to God in the at the right time, if God wills, if that is His own intention and His will for you, definitely He will make you experience it. He will make you enjoy it. He will make you have it, okay, in abundance.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a matter of time. Okay, but if it is not in His will for you, accept it joyfully and praise His name. Okay, ask Him for that which He has in stock for you and embrace it wholeheartedly. One thing I just wanted to be sure about is this, that sometimes what we think is good for us might not be what God is seeing as good for us.
Sure.
Okay, it's just like we and our children, we have 4 now, and we experience different things different times with these our children. We learn quite a lot, and sometimes we put ourselves in the shoe of our children, in our relationship with God, the way we treat our children, the way we handle them, the way we care for them. We believe that this is how God also sees us. Okay, so you wouldn't see your child holding something that might be harmful to him or to her, and you relax as a parent. You go out all the way to take it out from that child of yours, because you are after the joy, the peace, the health of that child. Okay, and definitely you as a parent will not want to bring anything that will be harmful to your children for them to play with. Okay, so it's the same thing that God does for us. So sometimes you might, it's just like sometimes you go, so somebody was talking, and he said, a day came that his son came and said, "Daddy, I want you to buy a lion for me." So you can imagine that. That was his own imagination as a child. He wants a lion, but is that a good idea? Do you understand? That isn't a good idea at all. Okay, both him and the father will be devoured by the lion.
Very true.
Okay, so God wouldn't want to put you at that or in that situation. Okay, so it might not be the right time for you to have that thing, or at all in your lifetime. God wouldn't want you to have that thing because He loves you. He wouldn't want to lose you. Okay, and He cherishes and honors your marriage, so He wants your marriage to be intact. Okay, so in everything that you do, even in this situation, no matter how hard the storm is raging, I want to advise you, just like Jesus said once again, peace, be still. Calm down and look up unto God. Okay? Do not hate your spouse. Love your spouse and commit everything to God in prayer. So thank you so much for understanding. And I pray that God will bring that peace that you seems to have lost. Okay? And I tell you the truth, the Bible said, "Cause is he that puts his trust in a man."
Yeah.
Okay? So it is expected that man can fail. No man is immortal.
Sure.
Like my wife said, we are not omniscience, we are not omnipotent, okay? We are not omnipresent, okay? Only God is.
Yeah.
All right. So there's tendency that I can promise you something today and then come back and say, sorry, babe,
Yeah.
I can't meet up.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Apologize and be sincere with yourselves. All right. And accept your vulnerabilities. Okay. And God will help you to scale through or to sail through. Let me use that word rather.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much. I think that will be all for now, right? Or do you still have something to say?
No, thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for staying tuned. We believe that you've been blessed by this, and we also want to beg of you, if this actually had been of help to you, you can share this video with others so that they also can be blessed by it. Click the notification bell and the like buttons also, okay, so that this video also can go to others to watch and also be blessed by it. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Amen.